Welcome to the Atlanta Sci Fi Film Festival's Women in Sci Fi panel. Joining me today are Margaret Caragan from California, a special effects makeup artist known for her work on films such as Sorry to Bother You and Fruitvale Station, as well as Meet the Blacks. We also have Niki de Jong from the UK, a special effects makeup artist who does prosthetic makeup on the upcoming movie Dune, as well as special effects makeup in films like Guardians of the Galaxy, Overlord, Morgan, Thor, and Doctor Who. As for me, my name is Dr. Ida Yoshinaga. I'm a science fiction film studies professor at Georgia Tech School of Literature, Media, and Communications. I'll be your moderator today. All right. I think we're very lucky today to have two makeup artists working for some of the hottest science fiction film and television movies. And I don't know if you know this, but I do because I study SF industry and gender. But makeup, along with costumes, is one of the few departments which is dominated by women. So if you've been watching Game of Thrones, you've been watching Maleficent, Doctor Who, Sorry to Bother You, all your favorite SF fantasy film and television, and just admiring those weird costumes or the weird prosthetics on characters' faces. Chances are a woman did that. So I want to ask both of you, because many of us take these effects for granted when we watch these immersive movies and television shows. What exactly do you do as a makeup artist? And give some examples of the type of work you've been doing recently. Do you want to start, Margaret, and then we'll go to Niki?
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, it starts with somebody calls and they've got a script, or it could be a product and stuff for a commercial or a narrative film and stuff. And I'm just breaking things down really quickly. And if it's like indie film and narrative, I'm trying to put my mark on it and work with the director and stuff, and solve everything and make things as cool as possible. If it's for commercial, I'm trying to make sure that they're getting like everything that they want, and I'm like delivering and everything's like as perfect as I can get it, But like when it's branded stuff, like sometimes it's just really a lot of precision stuff, and it's a lot of professionalism and stuff, and I like with narrative, there's a lot of creativity, So the first thing I do is just try and break everything down and figure out like a game plan for them.
Very interesting. I wanted to know, Niki, do you do things similarly? Like, what is your process, or what kind of ways do you enter into your projects?
I basically work as a freelance makeup artist. So I usually work for designers. They once they've done all these script breakdowns and their designs and everything, they then hire their crew, and I'm one of them. So when I work in a workshop in the process of making things, I'm what we here call an art finisher. So I paint and hair and do all these kind of things to make the last finishing touches, and then I go on set and apply and do the makeups. But yeah, I don't have that much at the moment anyway. It's not that much say in what it all looks like. That's for the designers to decide. Yeah,
I love that. I call myself a generalist. Like I wear all the hats in the makeup department at some point, even if I bring people in at different points. And I love everything about makeup from the beginning to the end, like from the script to when you wrap and stuff, like just everything. But like I'm in love with like making things and punching and painting and stuff too, and always getting a chance to dive in deeper. It would be amazing to be like a specialist, just doing that.
You've both, I got so excited when I heard about being able to interview you, because you've both worked on some cutting edge films recently, like Margaret, Sorry to Bother You, which has been so admired by people who like especially ethnic and regional science fiction. And I know, Niki, you've worked on Game of Thrones, and especially an award-winning episode featuring White Walkers. Do you want to talk about your processes, for either of those films, or some of these recent, very popular cutting edge, projects, and how do you come to it? Something like that, working with such great artists, and how do you serve that?
Well, yes. So on Game of Thrones, for example, it's very similar. We were actually, because of the load of creatures in it, we were a prosthetic makeup team of 40 people on set. So apart from the makeup team, which is, you know, doing the straight makeup, the hair and beauty makeups and all this, we just as the prosthetic team were about 40 people. So we were, you know, a small part in a large clock. But it was incredible. It was a lot of night work, night shifts, night shoots, and the, you know, cold days, obviously, because the night walkers are all up north where it's freezing. So we were there set in the freezing cold with snow and everything, which was amazing. But yes, I got onto that through knowing people from, you know, working in workshops making things, and I actually started on the season 6 with the Children of the Forest. They were full body, you know, makeups on female performers, the whole stunt performers. So they needed to get a whole lot of women to work, you know, on them, because it was obviously going onto their bodies. So that's how I got in there. And then stayed on the team for the last 3 seasons, which was really great. Yeah.
The process when I was on Sorry to Bother You, it's kind of funny. They contacted ADI, Amalgamated Dynamics, to do like all this like big stuff, and then they suddenly realized they forgot like a horse nose, transformation nose for like the lead actor, Lakeith Stanfield. And a bunch of people on set knew me, and they gave me a call. My first son was in the NICU and was supposed to come out like sometime that week. So it was like really exciting, but I was like, yes, I can do this. Like, he's not out yet. And I was like, it was everything and stuff, you know, like I met with, I talked to Boots, and I dialed in on what he wanted. I kind of like throw my satellite open wide. I have like a funnel process. So I listen to everything and then ask questions, and then I refine and stuff, you know, just like when I'm sculpting and stuff, you know, just kind of like 3 stages. And he came in when we were going to do the live casting. I had everything I needed in the shop already, like all the supplies ready, because they called like Saturday at 3 p.m. when you can't get anything. And Lakeith was there like the next business day. And I went over some drawings with him and stuff. I did a few illustrations. I had like my hero illustration. I was like, I like this one with the rhythm and movement and stuff of the horse nose, you know, because it's a static piece, but I wanted some flow in it. And I made that super fast. I called somebody who ended up being like my main effects guy now. Like ever since I had a kid, like I'm trying not to take it too hard. So he does like molds and stuff for me now. And we make a really super good team. He lives like 12 minutes away. That's my friend Walter Welsh. And we've both been on Face Off and stuff, you know, and we're in the Bay, and we're just like the only Face Off people who are like still like living in the Bay. But you know, it was like a really good experience. I had friends come out with me, and I saw, you know, like Fruitvale Station, I saw like a lot of people that I knew. I was I did Lakeith's makeup. He just had a kid too, you know, and there was another guy on there and stuff. He just played Eddie Murphy's son on Coming to America too, and he just had a kid, and he was married to a Face Off artist. So I was like. It was like a really, really perfect experience. Like, you know, you never know what's going to happen, but everything was awesome. And it's, you know, I even got to the point where I finished everything. I sent him to set, and then I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to go pump. My assistant's going to watch this. And it was like, everything was so quick. I was still pumping, and they sent the actor to my room while I was like pumping and to remove his makeup. I was like, wait, you know, and I took everything off really quick and stuff. And I think I still had a pumping bra on when I took his makeup off. I have photos of me pumping while sculpting and stuff. I haven't posted them yet, but I might put them up during some kind of national, you know, making milk day while doing cool shit. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Fantastic. I'm wondering what got you into this field. Like, why did you choose it?
When people go to college and they don't know exactly what they want to do. So I was at the Academy of Art and I tried on all sorts of different things. And I took the makeup class last and everything made complete sense. Like everything aligned at the end of my brush. And I got to, everything made sense. All the painting, all the drawing, a little bit of sculpting, my whole world made sense, and some storytelling and character. I'd had like video game design classes where you'd make like a game Bible, and a production folder is a lot like that when you break everything down. And so I fell in love with that. And then I've been realizing a lot this year that it was all about my own hero's journey. Like I wanted to like find and discover myself, and there's been like so many lessons, and I've come like roaring out of my shell and stuff. A lot of people would have said in high school that I was like shy and an introvert and all these other things. And, that's just not true anymore. Like I've like grown and stuff. And I really love what I do a lot. And I still feel after 16 years, like there's a lot more adventures.
Niki, how about you? Was it that kind of hero's journey and finding yourself, going from the quiet, to really this is me, and
I think it's quite similar actually. I went through art school, art university, kind of not really knowing where to go, what to do, and decided to just stop it and did a makeup course. This is in Vienna, back where I'm originally from, and then worked on a makeup counter for a few years, and got incredibly bored with that. Even though I learned a lot, I lost a lot of fear of touching people, getting close to people and just being open and approaching people. But it was all when I then moved to London, which was not because of my career, but because of my partner. And then somehow actually just discovered that this was an actual job that I could do. So I decided to retrain and do a course here. And just like Margaret said, it just kind of all made sense. Like all the little skills you've learned before kind of just started fitting together. And it's something where you then suddenly realize, like, hey, I'm actually really good at this. I can do this.
Well, it sounds like you have no lack of opportunity to keep discovering and keep finding more. I was wondering if the two of you could talk maybe with each other about your experiences with gender and men in the industry. Is it still male dominated? Have things changed? Do you have any stories about not being supported or feeling like, oh, wait a minute, what would you tell young women who want to get into this field or into movie making in general? Feel free to share things with each other and let us, be listening in on that. So go ahead, men and the industry and women and the industry and especially your field.
Men and women. I've grown up here in the Bay Area. I did live in LA for a year and stuff, but I've grown up where like there's still like male and female dynamics, in and outside of the industry, but like it's pretty fluid and stuff at times, where it's always been evolving. So up here, it was just me doing stuff and whoever I came across doing it with or meeting other people. Eventually, I came to realize there was a ton of women doing makeup up here, and most women were doing, just almost everything but effects and a little bit of effects, And then anybody who really loved effects was like moving to LA or a guy, And but I would just buddy up. I'd like bring in guys. I used to have to call in guys from like Sacramento and Nevada and stuff, or something like. But now like I've got a buddy over the hill and stuff, who's really good. And you come across a lot of guys. You get like the metal shirts and the ponytails and stuff, and I've been doing this a long time, young lady kind of attitude. And I just like kind of go, okay, let's talk and stuff, It took me a while to realize that, I've met maybe two guys with a chip on their shoulder, and I still tried to work with them, if that makes sense, because I had to, And I figured a way to do it. And that, honestly, I've had that with a couple women, right? You just kind of got to figure out if you can make it work, if you have to make it work, And, but it did take me a little too long to realize both guys were misogynists, I give people the benefit of the doubt and stuff, sometimes I try and see right through people to the inside to what's really going on, despite their behaviors, if that makes sense, because behaviors aren't exactly who a person is, could have a lot to do with a lot of their history. But yeah, so no, I really enjoy it now. There's a lot more women up here in the Bay doing effects and stuff. We've got people who used to work at Steve Johnson's place, XFX, Edge Effects, and they're up here now. People who can punch some hair into silicone. Then you have like vendors who've gone public and stuff like RBFX, out of the kit, other things. So a lot of people can start ordering ready-made stuff without having to know a person and stuff or a company in LA. So they could just hit the ground running as long as they have basic skills with painting and glue. Where I really came across the male-female dynamic down in LA. I won't say where. I won't say where, but I just walked into a situation and there was a lot of females and there was a few males in control of everything, and I was not one of those guys' cup of tea at all, just instantaneously. And that's fine. I don't need to be liked by everybody. I was able to work around him, and I realized what his issue was, and he's very talented. I'd always loved his work, and some of the things he had published and stuff like that. It was a little disappointing. I wouldn't say he was a hero, They
Right.
say your hero is something. But it clued me in, to why some of my female friends have been like, ugh, about some stuff. And the awesome thing is the TV show Face Off has really helped create like this really great flood of women in the effects industry. They were already there in the schools anyways, a majority of them, but now they're like, I can do anything. I love seeing that, all these young women, some of them already in the industry spent years and years watching Face Off growing up through middle school and high school. I just taught a young girl who's 12 years old the other week because I was like, hell yeah, I'll come teach you, and she's just getting started. I really love that. I got started, on horror comic books when I was 7. My mom was a tomboy, and I was given blue all the time. And I'm definitely like 2/3 female, and like kind of like 1/3 masculine energy. Most of my friends are guys, stuff like that. But I think it's really good for the dynamic with my directors. Like a lot of my directors are mostly guys, and I think we just get on really well, kind of like bromances, And so I kind of like exploring like gender and stuff a little bit. People talk a lot about fluidity and this and that, and I like to see how we interact.
I'm just trying to guess who that was, but I'm not going to ask you. Niki, what about you? Is it different on that side of the pond?
Well, it sounds quite similar with as in there's a lot of women working in the industry, but there's a lot of men running businesses. So there's more and more women kind of popping up and trying to break in with their own shops and stuff, which is great. But overall, it's the prosthetics designers. As I don't know if you say that in the same. The people who run the workshops who get the jobs and hire the crews are still usually all men. Yeah, which similarly often a team actually, like you have a designer and a coordinator who run a shop together, and that is often like there's often a women behind it, which is great. And but I was going to actually get into something you said about because you were talking about. Sorry, I lost my thread there. because we were talking about Face Off and how that it gives the platform for women who just do stuff to actually be seen, and I think that's amazing because I think one of the main differences, and I don't know if you find that similarly, is when you look at social media, how some men are just extremely confident with presenting themselves and their skills, and a lot of women tend to not do that. And I like how women in our industry are very supportive of each other. That's my experience, anyways. But in the online world, in the world that other people get to see, the outsiders get to see, it does look like there's just a lot more men than women, even though that's not quite the truth. I don't know how you feel about that, Margaret, but that's...
It feels like, for me, I feel like a big fish in a little pond here. So I'm like, me. And I know there's like Stephanie the fly out here somewhere and stuff, and some Star Wars people around, but like, when I go to LA, it definitely feels like very male, where traditional positions of power lie. One guy I came across was definitely a gatekeeper, and he's in a very powerful position to influence the next generation as well. He's very talented, though. He does treat some women really well, I'm not sure what that's about, but I have my ideas. I lost my thread too. What was some of that? What was some of it again?
The platform that women give each other, or women take for themselves to show their skills and to show what they do. I think that often men are just a little bit more
there's a woman
brave.
There's a woman I'm following. She has something called Ravenous Effects Studios and stuff. She'd worked on Grimm before. Like, her name escapes me right now, but I follow like a lot of her stuff. And she's like, I have like we're rolling a mobile FX shop and da da da. And I love watching her adventures, because years ago she was like, women, go out, learn tools, get in the shop, stop holding back, because we're deprogramming ourselves. That's really important. We can do that. I'm about to turn 41 and stuff, and I'm still deprogramming myself from things that I was taught. I don't need permission. I can have power. I can be humble and open, awesome and stuff, but I can go get those things.
I love both of your passion and your professionalism, but also the strategic mind you bring to it. How do you see, or how do you hope the industry changes for women in science fiction, including your own? Are you thinking of making your own films? Are you working with colleagues that are friends that you want to support?
Yeah, so for me personally, I would be hoping to, and I do feel like I see more and more women just on set in many different jobs across the board, really. So I think it's on a good way. It's always nice to be, like Margaret said earlier, it's nice to have a good balance. So if there's a good 50-50, that's usually the most comfortable to work in, I feel, anyways. And for me personally, I'm gonna move country at the end of the year, so I'm embarking to go back to, which is after Brexit, I'm gonna go back to Europe. And I'm hoping to kind of get to know a few more people who work in different countries in Europe. And I know there is quite a few women that I'd love to work for or with, and so that's kind of my little journey. I'm not working on my own projects, as in like I'm not trying to write or anything like that. That's not quite my forte. I'm like a maker.
I think for me, for women in general first, I just hope to see that evolution and stuff, in the distribution of power. That's it. I don't need it to be, anything specific. I just want to see the evolution, and I'm looking forward to seeing, what happens and stuff. Are we going to see like what's the first great female run, effects shop, the next female Stan Winston, ADI, something like that, they're going to do it their way though, right? It's going to be their style somehow, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that happen first, and then just watching things shift in general. I think there's a lot of adventures out there for all of us to have. Some people think it's pie, and I think there's 50 or 1,000 pies out there, and you can take your own pie. I swear I'm not hungry. But yeah, for myself, I started to get super interested in writing very recently. One of my friends, he gets to read scripts early from projects in LA. I can't say what he's reading now, but he's friends with people like who did Hustle and Flow and Love and Basketball. And he's like, if you're serious, I will read your stuff and I'm not going to go easy on you. And I'm like, no, I love it. I want that, and he said, I'll tell you exactly what you need to work on though. I'll really tell you the little things. So I'm excited because I work, one-on-one with directors who often write their own stuff, and so when you're working with people, you get insights, and I've learned how personal it is. I've started to see these projects as a self-portrait. A lot of times when we're in art school, we do our self-portrait every now and then, and we see ourselves literally, and you do your work, and you have a signature when you sculpt, when you draw, when you paint, right? And Rick Baker work when you see it, And one of the things I thought was fascinating is I was starting to see my filmmakers in their scripts and who they were and stuff. My best friend is a really, really good screenwriter, one of the best screenwriters in the Bay, Jason Ragasta. And we teamed up to produce something called, I do the makeup. It's called ZTV, and it's coming out in a festival soon in October in LA. And I was just really passionate, with him about the world building and even a little universe that he did, And he's got all these different scripts that I've seen more than anybody else. And they're actually all in the same universe, It's cosmic horror. And I was like, I love this. He's got infinite ideas. I love teaming up with him. He's, one of my best partners that I've met from the beginning. He was there when my son was born. He was there through first husband and second husband. And he's getting his dream job from a friend, who used to work at ILM. And it's going to include the need for hiring for prosthetics, in LA. And I'm like, I get to work for my best friend, for an awesome guy that I really love, underneath an awesome guy that I really love who runs the company. And I'm like, I really enjoy that, and Jason told me if I learned about writing scripts, at first I might become dissatisfied. I can tell in one page if it's good, tell in one paragraph where it's headed. I can tell in one sentence, where I get a sense, but then sitting down and writing, I've done 12 or 14 stories, and I did one in 7 minutes the other day, sometime after we first met and stuff. And I'm like, this is really cool. I don't know how to make it work as a script, exactly yet, but I'm really excited because I think at the end of the day that, I'm going to shoot a couple small things, start with 30 and 60-second motion and stills, and maybe something 5 minutes. And then I'm going to take that into me and use it to work with my directors, to get really super creative. Because you have things like KNVFX and Greg Nicotero directing on Walking Dead. He's seen a lot. Right? He's got his own ideas. And I got this feeling in February because I came out of what I call pandemic cancer. So I just treated breast cancer. And I was like, I want to raise the roof and stuff, I want to break out, and I just started working really hard and I got hungry and I'm looking for partnerships. And sometimes I feel like I have enough energy for 4 people, which I've never had that before. And I'm like, that's happening now. When my body is still recovering, I'm at 90%, physically and stuff, but I'm also doing things with my body I haven't done before. But I also realized that I really care what I do with the rest of my life. And I asked myself, if I live 2 or 20 years, what do I want to do? And the answer was makeup.
I just, I feel very inspired. And I feel like I've witnessed 2 very strong and talented women and have a lot of hope for the future of science fiction film and fantasy film, because I know you guys are the backbone of all the stuff that makes us imagine things, on the screen when we watch these streaming stories or go to the theaters. So I feel a great deal of hope. And just encourage you to tell your stories, in addition to helping, tell these larger stories from big, companies. Tell your stories also. Thank you for joining us today. This has been the Atlanta Sci Fi Film Festival's Women in Science Fiction panel with Margaret Caragan and Niki de Jong. I'm Ida Yoshinaga from Georgia Tech. Thank you to our speakers and everyone watching.